My name is Alice. I am not a girl. My parents gave me this name before they died. I was only 3 years old when they left me. They did not leave me by choice. They died in a car accident. After that, my world changed. I lived with my aunt after my parents died. Her house was small and cold. She had 3 children of her own. I was not one of them. I slept in the corner of the room on a thin mat. No one talked to me much. No one hugged me. Every morning I woke up before the sun. I cleaned the house and washed the dishes. My aunt always found work for me. My cousins went to school every day. They laughed and played with their friends. I wanted to go too, but my aunt said, "Alice, school is not for you. You are here to work." I watched them leave the house with books and smiles. I wanted to learn. I wanted to read. But I stayed behind to clean and cook. My aunt said I must earn my food. Day after day it was the same. Wake up early, work, eat scraps, and go to bed. My clothes were old and torn. My shoes had holes. Sometimes I did not even have enough food. I was always hungry. At night, I sat by the window. I looked at the stars and thought about my parents. I missed them. I cried softly so no one would hear. One day, as I was sweeping the floor, I heard children outside. They were laughing. I peeked through the window and saw them sitting under a tree. A man was reading them a story. The man saw me watching. He smiled and waved, but I quickly hid. I wanted to hear the story so badly. That night, I dreamed I was sitting with those children, reading a book of my own.
A few days later, one of the boys from the group came to the house. He brought me a small notebook and a pencil. "Here," he said, "you can practice writing." I didn't know his name, but his kindness felt like sunshine in my dark life. At night, when my chores were done, I wrote in the notebook. I didn't know many words, but I wrote my name over and over, Alice. It made me feel like I mattered. One evening, my aunt found the notebook. She was angry. "You don't need this," she shouted. She tore the pages and threw the notebook into the fire. I cried as I watched the flames eat my words. She said, "You will never go to school. You are not like the other children." Her words felt like sharp stones in my heart. After that, I stopped dreaming. I stopped hoping. Every day was the same: work, eat scraps, and sleep. My body was tired and my heart was heavy. But deep inside, a small part of me still wanted more. I wanted to learn, to read, to write, and to be like other children. I didn't know how, but I knew I couldn't give up. One rainy afternoon, I found an old newspaper outside. It was wet and torn, but I didn't care. I picked it up and hid it under my mat. At night, when everyone was asleep, I lit a small candle and tried to read the words. I couldn't understand all of them, but I sounded out the letters: A, L, I, C, E. It was my name again. Even seeing it on the paper made me feel alive. One day, while fetching water, I met an old man. He was sitting near the well with a book in his hand. "Hello, young boy," he said with a smile. "Why aren't you in school?" I looked down at my feet and didn't answer. The man's eyes softened. "Do you want to learn?" he asked. Tears filled my eyes, but I nodded quickly. He handed me the book. "Take this," he said. "It's old, but it's full of stories. You can come here any time, and I will teach you a little." From that day on, I visited the old man every week. He taught me to read small words and write simple sentences. I learned slowly, but I loved every moment of it.
Words are powerful, he said. They can take you to places you've never been. I believed him. When I read, I didn't feel like a sad orphan anymore. I felt like I could be anyone, go anywhere. One day, my aunt followed me. She saw me with the old man and the book. "Alice," she shouted, "what are you doing here? You're wasting time." She dragged me home and forbade me from going back. I cried and begged, but she wouldn't listen. That night, I hid the book under my mat. It was my treasure now. Even though I couldn't see the old man anymore, I didn't stop learning. I practiced reading the book in secret, using the little light from the moon. The words were my escape. They gave me hope when the days were hard. They reminded me that I was more than just an orphan working in a house. I was Alice, a boy who wanted to learn. One day, I decided to write a letter. I didn't know who to send it to, but I wrote it anyway. Dear someone, my name is Alice. I am a boy who wants to go to school. I want to learn and be like other children. Please help me. Yours, Alice. I hid the letter under my mat, dreaming that one day someone would find it. Weeks passed and life continued as before. Then, one afternoon, there was a knock at the door. A man in a suit stood outside. He spoke to my aunt, and I could hear his serious voice. "I received a letter," he said. "A boy named Alice wrote it." My heart raced. How had he found my letter? My aunt looked angry, but she let him in. The man introduced himself as Mr. Johnson, a teacher from the nearby town. "Alice," he said, looking at me kindly, "did you write this letter?" I nodded, tears in my eyes. "I want to go to school," I whispered. Mr. Johnson turned to my aunt. "This boy has potential," he said firmly. "He deserves an education." My aunt was silent for a long time. Finally, she said, "Fine, take him, but don't bring him back." Her words hurt, but I didn't care. I had a chance to leave. I packed my few belongings, a torn shirt, my book, and my dreams. As I left the house, I felt a mix of fear and excitement. When I arrived at Mr. Johnson's school, everything felt so big and new. The classrooms were full of desks, books, and children. I had never seen so many books in one place before. Mr. Johnson introduced me to the class. He said, "This is Alice. He will be joining us." The children smiled at me, and one even said, "Welcome." It was the first time I felt like I belonged somewhere. At first, school was hard. I didn't know as much as the other children. I struggled to read and write. But Mr. Johnson was patient. He stayed after class to help me with my letters and numbers. Every day I learned something new. I learned how to write my name correctly,
how to read small books, and even how to do simple math. For the first time in my life, I had hope. One of the boys in the class, named Omar, became my first friend. He always shared his lunch with me and helped me with my homework. "You're smart, Alice," he said one day. "You just need a little time to catch up." His words made me feel strong. One day, Mr. Johnson gave us a writing assignment. He said, "Write a letter to someone important in your life." I decided to write to my parents. "Dear Mother and Father, I miss you every day. Life has been hard without you, but I am learning now. I can read, write, and make friends. I hope I make you proud. Love, Alice." I cried while writing the letter, but it also made me feel closer to them. Even though I was happy at school, life was still hard. I lived in a small room near the school, and I didn't have much to eat. Sometimes I felt like giving up. But every time I opened a book, I remembered why I was doing this. I wanted to change my life. I wanted to be someone my parents would be proud of. At the end of the school year, Mr. Johnson held a small ceremony. He gave out awards to the students. I didn't expect to get one, but then he called my name. "Alice," he said, "this is for your hard work and determination." He handed me a certificate. It was the first time I had ever won anything. I felt so proud. Now, when I look back at those years, I feel both sadness and gratitude. Life was not easy, but it taught me to be strong. I didn't go to school when I was young because of my aunt's cruelty, but I found my way. I learned that no matter how hard life is, there is always hope if you keep trying.